Welcome to the chaos sector. In the last episode, our video analytics expert, Sonnen, examined the video of Ruby Freeman and her daughter, Shay Moss, alleged to have exchanged a flash drive at the ballot table. From what we examined, it surely appeared to be a flash drive rather than a ginger mint. Sonnen, what are your thoughts about your findings?
Well, from that video analysis, we can conclude that it most definitely wasn't a ginger mint. It was a USB drive that was considered a slander of her name, but after examining that video, we know this is not her first rodeo, so to speak.
I know you're good at your job, but do you think this video analysis will hold up in court? To the average person, it's not conclusive either way, right? Because both objects are quite small, how could you confirm it is a USB drive without more visual accuracy to do so? There is an accusation of election fraud, and with all due respect, this does not prove it was a USB drive, from the viewer's point of view at least.
To the contrary, and I love being challenged. The reason there is conclusive evidence is because I proved that it isn't what Miss Moss claimed it was. From that alone, proves it's a USB drive. If Miss Moss claims, under oath in the hearing, that her mother handed her a ginger mint, and it wasn't, this means she lied about that. The two possibilities are either a ginger mint claimed by Miss Moss, or it was a USB drive claimed by Rudy Giuliani. If it isn't a ginger mint, based on my examination, then it has to be the other option, in which Miss Moss lied about. And that would be a USB drive. So if this evidence was presented in court, the judge and jury would see exactly what our audience sees in my examination. It's admissible in court, and is effective in proving a key point: it is not a ginger mint based on the physical evidence. Of course, burden of proof is to prove it's a USB drive, but by the false claim from Miss Moss, that burden of proof is actually proven, without actually proving it was a USB drive in the examination. You understand? But it would be done anyway. The motive, the suspicious movement, a decoy in the male standing in front of the table, and Miss Moss cunningly slipping the USB drive into his pocket as they walked away. This would also be substantial, as supporting evidence to prove it was a USB drive. So yes, this can be proven in court, especially if we were to use advanced video software. Care for another examination?
Most definitely, let's see what you got.
We will review from the point of the male's arrival to the table. Now at this point, Miss Ruby Freeman will reach into her bag to get the so-called ginger mint for Miss Moss. Watch carefully, because there is suspicious movement by the male. Based on my analysis, and my knowledge of deceptive body language, it is clear that the male has moved slightly to the left side, to block the view of what the object was being pulled out of Miss Ruby Freeman's bag. If he hadn't moved to the left side, we would see what the object was. It is my conclusion that Miss Ruby Freeman told him to move to the left a bit, because they obviously are aware of the camera's view of their activity. He casually does so, and it appears to be normal behavior to the average person viewing it. But with an allegation of that object being a USB drive, this movement was strategically done. Let's continue. We will examine at this point, in slow motion. The exchange doesn't give us a clear view of the object, but Miss Moss looks into the camera, as if she was concerned about being spotted. It is in her eyes, and we all know, the eyes tell the truth. I am an expert on body language, and Miss Moss's body language showed guilt. She looks into the camera, and the next direction her eyes were down. This is a sign of guilt, as you do not want to make eye contact for too long with someone, or in this case, a camera. This very frame says it all: reflection. Miss Moss's eyes are showing signs of regret, reflecting on what she is doing, and the consequences of what she is doing. The guilt in her eyes is the same guilt in one's eyes who has been spotted by a camera, and they just so happen to spot that camera. But at this point, it's too late to turn back. She has already made the decision. It's unfortunate for her, because out of everyone involved in this crime, she has the most to lose. I believe she has a child, and to jeopardize her freedom for this is a dangerous risk to take. She could have decided not to participate and walked away from this with dignity. Well, she made her bed that day. Hard to feel sorry for her now. Let's continue. In the final sequence, Miss Moss will cunningly transfer the USB drive to the male as she stands up, and Miss Ruby Freeman carefully watches to make sure this transfer was successful. They were successful in transferring the USB drive to the male, but were unsuccessful in hiding it from, guess who? Me. Miss Moss just can't keep her eyes away from the camera, as once again she looks directly towards it. Guilt makes one behave in this manner, a way of quote, checking to see if the camera is still watching. Of course it's still watching.
It's confirmed, this was a crime caught on camera. Quite clever, but due to the nature of the crime, they couldn't hide everything. And to think, like you mentioned, why didn't they wait until they were off camera to exchange the flash drive? Kinda stupid if you ask me. Miss Freeman could have waited, perhaps both head to the women's bathroom, then give her the flash drive. Goes to show, what's done in the dark will definitely come to light. You can't hide deception and criminal activity, because something will be detected regardless of how slick you are. Final thoughts, Sonnen?
Yes, as you know I don't report, but when it comes to analyzing video footage, you bet it's gonna result in revealing key evidence. But on a societal note, this is a major problem in the United States. Immorality, it was a decision to participate in this crime, and they are not the only ones of course. But, it is these three individuals particularly, who have been exposed for doing so. I remember in a previous daily report, where Miss Moss claimed that this would have never happened if she wasn't an election worker. She knew this was wrong, and now has to live in fear, not because of so-called death threats. No. That's not why. She is living in fear, because the evidence has been revealed that she along with others, including her mother, but hey, you do the crime, you do the time. So no sympathy from me. Back to you, Zareen.
Exactly, thanks Sonnen. It's about integrity, the strength to choose the right choice, the courage to stand up against corruption. Many don't have courage these days, they allow themselves to be used, then, when shit hits the fan, the antagonists are nowhere to be found. They can't protect you, it's all up to fate. Why put yourself in such a predicament? Many election workers have been sentenced to stiff prison time over the years, and those are mainly local and state level. What if a president caused historical records of inflation? Millions of Americans are struggling financially, food shortages, utility bills increasing, gas prices out of this world, all because some election workers didn't have the courage to stand up against corruption. Would the war in Ukraine happened under the Trump administration? Maybe not, but in conclusion, there is no benefit to being weak. Strength is what you need to survive in the chaos sector.